Hello, everyone. I've been asking myself this question for maybe a half a year or more. In Revelation 21:3, it says, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is among men, anthropos, humans, man, a human being, male and female." Are there humans in heaven? Are we humans on earth and in heaven? Are we the same thing? Are we different? It's a big question. It's an impossible question. But in Revelation, the author John and how he uses these words is what I've been looking at and researching. And I've been able to use that. So this only pertains to Revelation because he's the one who's making the claim as well. So when we read the whole thing, and I studied it and in Greek, these terms that he uses. So when he identifies people on earth in the beginning, it's usually anthropos or nations or people. But when you get into the heavenly aspect of it, and there's another stage to it I like to talk about as well, we get into nations and people that are there as well. So they're kind of the same thing. If they're a nation on earth, or they could be a nation in heaven. If they're people on earth, they could be people in heaven. But what about this exact word, anthropos? And I have found that, according to John in Revelation, the only time he refers to anthropos is in an earthly sense, not in an after death, heavenly sense. Throughout the book, it's not there. So I want to go back to, I don't know, I'll just go to chapter 7 because we have all these different meanings when it comes to these characters, and enable to answer the question like I just showed you. But to be able to demonstrate it for you, I'll come back and say, this is the part where the old heavens and earth passed away and they got replaced by a new one. The old Jerusalem was destroyed, replaced by a new one. And this supports my theory that the New Jerusalem, 21:1 through 8, is not the same Jerusalem in Revelation 21:10 and on. They're two different things. This is on earth. Because it's saying the tabernacle of God is among men means, according to John, and the way he uses it, can only pertain to human beings on earth who are alive. The stage you are in, the stage I'm in. Okay? You and I are in the same stage. We're alive and we're on earth. That's where we're at right now. That's our status. We are anthropos, humans. Nowhere in Revelation does John use anthropos to describe anything else than humans on earth. He doesn't describe humans in heaven. Now, he does use things like, I saw one like the Son of Man. And that's been used many times before. I don't know quite how to or describe or make of it when he uses that. He's giving a description. He's not saying, I saw Jesus and he had white hair. He didn't say that. He says, I saw one like a Son of Man. And then we have the term Son of Man. A lot of people think they know what that is, what that means when he says that. That's fine. But this term, I think, doesn't apply at all. It's definitely not something that he says here. He doesn't say the tabernacle of God is among son of men. He just says anthropos. So son of anthropos and anthropos still seem to be two different things, even the way he's describing it. He said, I saw one like a son of man. But that is not necessarily indicative of anthropos existing after death, after they've moved on from the earth. But then we have this other topic that kind of ties into it. The tabernacle. The tabernacle, which can mean a lot of different things. A lot of Greek words, different Greek words are being used to define this. It could be a place. It could be a dwelling. A place to dwell. But specifically this tabernacle that he's throwing over people in chapter 7 here is being used to describe it's just among men. It's with men. Kind of like the kingdom of God is at hand. The kingdom of God is within reach. Right? Kind of the same thing. Here, it's now available from what I'm seeing, from what I'm reading. It's now available at this point in time to men. It's around you. It's there. This whole system is here. It's set up. It's something brand new, something that wasn't available before, but now is available. But when you look at Revelation in the earlier parts, like chapter 7, which we'll go back to, they use the same words. And some people that I've talked to have said, well, look, they've used it here before, so that's not correct. I want you to look at this. So let's say you're a preterist and you take the temple's destruction, and then you can mirror it with what's happening in Revelation. Now, a lot of people think Revelation is still future. What parts? I don't know. Everyone's different. The way I'm looking at it is Revelation is also past. I don't really pay attention to the stuff in the middle. I'm aware of it. Nothing really contradicts. But a lot of it we don't know what it means. We just don't know what it means. You can kind of look at it and say, I'm pretty sure I got an understanding of it, which I would make that claim as well, at least in my view. I think it lines up pretty well, quite well with what I've read in other chapters. But they use this term, tabernacle, before. He who sits on the throne will spread his tabernacle over him. Now, this is in chapter 7. This is talking about people. These are some of the first fruits. You know, the great multitude that no one could count. So it seems like post Jesus' death, okay, sometime after that, in a place, it could be Jerusalem. It's not described as Jerusalem. It's actually described as heaven or air. Here, not specifically, but in general, where these people are at. So at this point in the timeline of this book and other books, there seems to be like a mirror from earth, as in heaven. These people have either been in this sleep, in Sheol, let's say, for example, or they're Christians. It's mostly talking about Christians, but I think it can include Jews. That's what I'm getting at. But primarily it's talking about, they're emphasizing the believers. You know, the people that kept the word, the people that were persecuted because of, you know, what they believed in, what Jesus told them. That's the people that are up here right now. That's the main description. But I think it can definitely include the Jews as well. The righteous ones, like John's parents, for example. That I think that's a possibility. But it's something that's set up, that's active at this time, that doesn't sound like it's active anymore after the temple's destruction. Again, we're taking a preterist view. Not preterism, just a past that it happened and it was all associated and lined up with the historical event of the destruction of the temple in 70 by the Roman army. Okay? Because we still have this temple. Look, here, temple. So they're in the temple, they're serving him day and night. But if you kind of look at it, they're not really, they're before the throne of God. And they will serve him night and day in his temple. And he who sits on the throne will spread their tabernacle over him. So it does seem like there's a throne. It's in a temple. And he who sits on it will spread his tabernacle. I'm assuming, I'm going to draw the conclusion that that is God the Almighty, our God. But what's funny is, at this time there's a temple. But if you go to Revelation 21, 22 here, after the Jerusalem has come down, the bride of Christ has come down, and he starts telling, oh, it's gold and it's a square, blah, 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 blah. We even look at right here to sidestep 72 yards according to human measurements, which is also angelic measurements. So they even kind of defines like these are human measurements, but they're also angelic. Kind of like saying human stuff doesn't cross into ours unless it's something we use as well. Right? But going back to the temple, I saw no temple in it, for the Lord God, the Almighty, and the Lamb are its temple. Now think about that for a second. The temple no longer exists. The Lord and the Lamb are the temple. A lot of people will say that, well, Jerusalem is the temple, the city's the temple. Nowhere does it say that. It doesn't say anything temple, anything else. Period. It does not say that. Whoever's saying that is wrong. They like to embellish. The preterists love to embellish this way. The temple doesn't exist anymore. You don't need it. According to this, you don't need it. Because right here, there will no longer be any curse, in my opinion, based on the word that's talking about sin. You're not part of that system anymore. It's gone. And the throne of God and the Lamb will be in it. And his bondservants will serve him, and they will see his face, and his name will be on their foreheads. That's very important. Because that's not what was happening here. Here, for this reason, before the throne of God, they will serve him night and day the same way, but they'll be in his temple. Okay? So they'll be before his throne, but in the temple. But when you get towards the end, after this destruction of the earthly Jerusalem in 70, you don't have a temple anymore. It's gone. Jesus spoke of a dwelling place in John 14, I believe. He's like, I'm going to go make a home for you. I'm going to go make a dwelling place for you. So it appears that this, in time, so after Jesus' death, we have this event where people go to, I don't know, God's waiting room, this temple. Okay? They're up there. But it's not the Jerusalem, it's not the, I don't know, it's not everything. It's kind of like it's still under construction. We haven't, we're hooking up the electricity as we speak. Okay? We still got a couple more codes. We've got it inspected. It's there. It's not yet. Not ready to, not move-in ready yet. But it will be. It's going to be great. Right? According to 21. So we have this stage where people are at, where there is a temple still. And they're saying, I'm going to put my tabernacle over you. And he who sits on the throne will spread his tabernacle over them. Over who? Well, the people. These people, nations, tribes, and tongues standing before the throne, clothed in white robes, palm branches. They were a part of the tribulation. These are the ones that came out of the tribulation. I'm looking for the word. I wish I could find it. Here it is. These are the ones who came out of the great tribulation. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. For this reason, they are before the throne of God, and they serve him night and day in his temple. So there is a temple there, an actual, what's being described as a physical temple. And he who sits on the throne, God, will spread his tabernacle over. If you look at 21, when we go back, the same thing is happening. So those people get moved up. It doesn't describe it. It doesn't describe them moving from one section to another. You maybe could make that happen. I think I could make it happen when you get into 19 and 20, right? You get into those chapters, you can say, yeah, but then they had the marriage of the lamb, right? And then the lamb came down, and that's the official, and then now they're a part of it. But it doesn't really describe them shifting from that place where the temple was over to this place. This is as far as I can tell just yet. And you got to understand, this is kind of like this isn't a final product that I'm giving you here. This is so far. This is probably as good as it's going to get. You just can't tell, you're expecting all these answers when you read the Bible, especially like I was when I was younger or a few years back. You just don't get them. They're just not there. You can draw conclusions, but why? Probably just going to get yourself in trouble. So we don't have anything describing here those people moving into the New Jerusalem. We're just assuming that they do. But this is talking about the same thing. Behold, the tabernacle of God is among men. So he's taking that tabernacle, he's throwing it over people to what? Comfort them. It's like, look, I got you. I'm dwelling over you. I have you. Okay? There's something about this tabernacle that's being described in English. I'm just going to describe it in English because it gets a lot more confusing because it's not always the same word in Greek, but it kind of has the same meaning. It goes back and forth. But here it does have the same meaning as before in 7, where he's taking something physical and temporary, a tent. Because it appears that we've gone back to that system, a previous system. God apparently never authorized the temple to be built. He never asked for a king. He never asked for all this stuff. Humans did. And they got it. And God destroyed it. So now we're back in like this tabernacle system. A very simple, straightforward, perfect system. And that's what God is introducing on earth. The tabernacle of God is among men. This shows, as I demonstrated, this can only happen on earth. It's only available on earth because they included the word anthropos. And anthropos has never been used at any time in Revelation to refer to people in the stage that I mentioned earlier in the temple in chapter 7, or at this stage when the New Jerusalem comes into its, I guess you could say, fullness. People have used that. I think a lot of preachers use that, church people, into his fullness and into his completeness. And it didn't take time for it to come into his completeness either. There were some stages, but it just happened. All of a sudden, the electricity got hooked up, the permits were signed, and boom, the doors are open for business. Okay, and that's what this Revelation 21:10 Jerusalem is explaining. But 21:1-8 is also explaining the same thing. It's now among men, the system that is now available and still is today, the same way, is available to us humans, anthropos. That definition proves that this New Jerusalem is not the Jerusalem in 21:10. They're separate. They have to be. They cannot be the same thing. And in the same way as he was comforting those people that came out of the tribulation with white robes, remember white robes? They were given white robes. Here, he's doing the same thing. He will dwell among them. They shall be his people. Okay? They shall be his people. Now, when we say people, and we look at all this stuff, the term that is used both in heaven and on earth is doulos, which means slave. You'll see it used here. They've kind of niced it up a little. Bond servants. Okay? But slaves. Slaves that volunteered to be slaves. Don't be afraid of that word. Slaves, bond servants, however you want to put it. It is kind of confusing in this language. So to use bond servants, I think is just fine. I approve. I do. Because it's stating exactly these people are it's like when you join the military, you're volunteering. You're volunteering, you're giving it up. Just like when you become a police officer, a firefighter. You're volunteering yourself. That's what it's really about. For public service. It's not that way. But that's the way it was meant to be. But this system is perfect. This is actually what it is. This is actually what is defined in being real. And God himself will be among them. Right? And he will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will no longer be any death, mourning, crying, pain. First things have passed away. In the old heavens and earth. But in the new heavens and earth, this new system has come into place. It's available. It's here. You won't see it, but it's here. And it exists inside people, upon people, around people. Because here it says the tabernacle will be among them. So it'll be around them. And he's going to comfort you. This tabernacle is meant to comfort people, just like it was used before. It's to basically God is coming and lifting you up and holding you in his arms. Like you're a kid that just fell off their bike and you scratched your knee. Here comes daddy or grandpa. He comes and picks you up. Wipes the tears from your eyes. Don't worry, I got you. That's what's happening here. This is for bondservants. People say, well, I don't believe in God. How come people suffer? This is why. It's not because of it, but this is how the system exists inside of it. You can't tell, you can't see. You won't see. I can perceive it. I can figure this out. Because one, I asked, and two, this bears witness to what I've been going through in my life. And that's how everyone seems to have a different opinion because everyone's life is different and they perceive things different. But this is based on literary facts. And what those words in Greek, again, this didn't happen in Greek, but it's written in Greek. What those words mean, their usage, and what the possibility of those words uses are for. And it can and does explain things and define things that are possible on earth. They can mean other things that are impossible on earth. But here, these are all things that are applicable to humans on earth. Read it. It's right here. I am making all things new. For these things were faithful and true. He said to me, it is done. This is something else I just want to touch on real quick. If you go back into Revelation, he says it is done. That means it's completed. He's saying this is completed. This is something new. This is a promise. This is part of a promise. I am the Alpha and Omega. It is done. It is done. He says that earlier. When he had completed, it is done. I'm not going to go to it. You find it. It is done. He said it after something was completed. He's saying it is done after this because it is completed. If this is a part of Jerusalem, then why would he say it's done? Is it a little premature to say it's done when it hasn't even happened yet? or only one part of it is done, but not all of it. He doesn't say, and this part of it is done. No, he doesn't say that. It is done. He's referring to this. What is now on earth at that time and still exists today is done. Right? So when you get into Jerusalem, and that's the other thing, I talked to another person about this. New Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Oh, that's fine. It means the same thing. But everything else they get so technical about, it's right here. They even put right here, the New Jerusalem. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say the city is a temple. This is the bride of Christ. I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. Here it's, I will show you, I perceived. And that's the other thing. I perceived. God made ready as a bride adorned for her husband, but not the actual thing. Here he perceived it. Here, someone actually showed it visibly to him. He's not describing anything here. If you look at this, there's no description of it, but he gives the description here. What's going on? It's a square, right? Laid out as a square. It's tall. How tall is it? 42 feet? I don't know what it was. It's a square with walls that are 40 feet tall, something like that in here. But there's no more temple in it. There never was a temple. You don't need a temple anymore. You got God. You're face to face to him. You don't need a temple anymore. You don't need a tabernacle anymore. Because you're face to face with him. There won't be any curse. Bond servants. This is the final destination. After this place, anyway. Okay? There was something that I forgot. But look at the difference between the people in chapter 7 and the people here. It's much different. They're not in a temple anymore. They're face to face. It even says that. They're face to face. They will see his face. But they were before his throne before. But apparently things are a little different now, because now they're face to face. And now they have their name on their foreheads, which they've mentioned before. But there's no more curse. You don't need a tabernacle. You don't need a white robe. Any of that stuff. It's done. It's complete. This is ongoing. So it had an existence before this chapter. It had an existence. It could have been existing before Earth was even created. There's always been a Jerusalem. We just don't know what Jerusalem really means. We don't know where it is. It's just a term that we use, like aliens from outer space. If we knew more about them, we would just begin to define more of that word. Right? This expands our definition of where God is. It's not really real. As far as it's just saying things are going to be great. Just like one of the immigrants said, oh, there's streets are paved with gold. But all in all, the answer, are we humans in heaven? Are we humans in the stage? The answer is no, we are not. We were not humans in the stage that existed before this, right after the time of Christ. And that's just as true when this finally came into fruition. Probably somewhere in its sequence of timeline events around 70 AD. Did it happen all at once? Did it happen in an instant? Was there a half an hour interval? We don't know. But it does exist. It is present at this time. And it's for human beings. It's for us. Because this has to happen before we can get to this. We don't go through this. We don't get this. Does that make sense? The tabernacle that comforts people is among us. Here on earth. Right now.